Hello everybody, today is Friday, June 19th, and this is a special day, of course, reminiscing back over 200 years when actually the first interaction and the battle that took place between the Métis and those up in Upper Canada who were talking about how the West should be theirs. And of course our people were quite prominent and very efficient entrepreneurs and experts in the fields of trade and business. And we were before even Canada ever entered its way, or Northwest or Hudson Bay, all of those historic figures that interacted with our lives. Before any of that happened, our people were very prominent in doing what we were doing. And we did a lot of commerce and trade into the United States. But at that particular time in 1816, somebody came along and basically stated to us and to our citizens, to our nation, you are no longer allowed to free trade. You are now going to sell your product to us. We will determine how business is done. Well, that didn't go very well with the Métis people. And what ensued after that was what was always known in history. And one of the things that people, and there's a discussion on that, and I'm going to delve into that shortly regarding the upcoming issue of Wolseley, for example, of removing Wolseley's name, and I'll get into details of who he was. But let me go back to Seven Oaks again. History then, of course, will tell us a story that it was known by Canada and the authors of Canada who represented the story they wanted to tell of their vision of what took place. They considered that battle in 1816, on which we all know was about free trade, ability for us to continue to feed our families, take care of ourselves, and it was a commerce and something that was very important to us, and it's always been in our bloodline as entrepreneurs. Well, what they didn't tell the Canadian society and the world, because they declared that a massacre, and it was called the Massacre of Seven Oaks. But my friends, that's not what it was. Actually, they had killed our people first. They shot at us first, killing one of our traders, and of course our people retaliated, and we quickly got off our horses, and the next thing you know, they're all laying down on the ground because we were buffalo hunters and very experienced with military. And so it does then, of course, the government had to write the story and send a different perspective of making us the villain. And they never, in fact, taught us in schools or educated any Canadian or anybody in the world, in particular Manitobans, that they actually killed our own people first. They shot at us first. It was always hidden in the archives of our country. And the same goes with the actual charges that were laid against Cuthbert Grant, and he was found not guilty. But again, that was not taught in our schools. The legacy of the Battle of Seven Oaks, the massacre of Seven Oaks, the villains, the Métis people, carried on for 200 years. 200 years later, we were able to show all the facts of that particular situation, what occurred, and show that we were not the villains. We were defending ourselves and our families, and defending ourselves based on the fact that people were killing us. And so it's very clear that true story now lingers. And what's so powerful about this story is with the young kids that actually got interacted and involved with writing and doing research. And it wasn't long after that they started to extract all of the evidence that was necessary to prove, lo and behold, that was not the Métis or the villains. Actually, they were just hard-working people living a life, and somebody was trying to monopolize the economic engine of the prairies, and of course, the richness of our wealth as we trade in varying commodities, whether it's in buffalo or pemmican. At one time the Pemmican Wars, but that's a different story. But going back to that story, it's being celebrated. Now we know it in our history as the victory of Frog Plain, because that area was known as the Frog Plain, which is not far down Main Street. If you go, I'll use the example by the Greenbrier Hotel. Everybody can punch that in the internet. Right beside it is the monument where that battle took place. And so there's a little house behind it. You can do a museum look through the building, but it tells you that the location is there. But the true story is now really advised in the sense of showing what truly took place. It really corrects the wrong 200 years ago. So it's taken a long time to try to tell the truth in this country, but it's good to know it's there. So we also have an issue that's happening, and many of you will probably want to ask, what's our position as the Métis government? Wolseley, of course, led the military charge on behalf of the British Army, on behalf of Canada, and entered into Manitoba. And that's during the era, of course, where Riel formed the beautiful province you now live in, the province of Manitoba, where his provisional cabinet was in action fully legally in place to authorize the negotiation and the entry of Manitoba and Confederation of what we know as Canada. So Wolseley then was sent to, as they say, on a trade mission, we'll use that phrase of ideology, to people to capture what it was. It was supposed to be a friendly assertion of entering into the prairies. But my friends, that did not take place. Historians today will tell you there was a reign of terror. Métis were killed, women were abused, houses were burnt, and people just literally beaten on the streets if they were Métis. So it's known as the reign of terror. And Wolseley was actually the leader on the expedition, a military leader. And he's well known, well renowned for his military experience. But however, he definitely obviously allowed it to happen, given the fact he was in charge of the entire military that entered into Manitoba. And so the Métis paid a very, very big price on that. So our Métis did scatter. We went west, some south, some northwest, and we moved. We had no choice. And even during the transition of that mobility, we've got to remember, there wasn't trains, there wasn't planes, there wasn't cars, so our people had to use the river carts and different forms of transportation to move west and to find a place of peace and hopefully to raise their family again. And that's why a lot of our citizens that come from the river, you see, move into the western prairies. And so it's very clear from our side that Wolseley and given the command he was given by the Prime Minister of Canada, Johnny MacDonald, had a very strong and impacting situation in the future of our economy, the future of our nation, where we stand today as a hardworking people, but still impoverished economically. We don't have the wealth we should have had because we are actually the owners of some of the richest lands in the prairies. And that was stolen from us. And we all know that. It took us, again, 142 years, estimation-wise, to go into the courts to fight that Canada did not do the right thing in the transformation of ensuring the children got 1.4 million acres of land and the parents got Section 32, the rights to the lands of the river lots. None of that actually took place. The land was stolen from our people and we paid a price. So Wolseley played a very pivotal role in that. So our future economics for the rest of our 150 years has been a struggle. As you'll know why, you'll ask yourself, why is our Métis community right next door to reserves? Like why, I thought we had Winnipeg, I thought it was our home, it was our land. Well, later on you'll figure out in history when you reflect back why your situation as a people are economically driven by your location of where you live, the ability of your education, the ability of your parents to have the economic wealth or ability to help you upgrade yourself through education, through different forms of businesses. That was taken from us. Economically, we lost a lot. And I'm talking, in a sense, billions upon billions of dollars that our people would have probably had if we were allowed to have our lands and have in place. So Wolseley did play a very pivotal role. So the question is being asked today, should we start tearing down these statues, tearing down the names of, or taking the names off of Wolseley in the neighborhood, the school, in all different street names, etc. Our cabinet had a discussion on Wednesday on this issue. And they came to the conclusion that the mass majority, without question, his name should stay. His name should stay for people to know how this gentleman who led the military as a military expert came into our world and tortured our people and made our people pay the ultimate price and suffered for the last 150 years of existence. But what's missing and what's needed to be done is that the platitudes that you see, the written statements that are made about people of his nature, of his role he played in the formation of our country or how they interacted, what they'll tell you is the good things. That he was a military expert, that he won many, many victories, and he's gone to Egypt, he's gone to other places in the world, in Africa, to fight and lead an army and was victorious. So they'll talk about this great military leader. That's what's written in the history for us to read. But the truth is, it's not what really happened. I'm sure Africa, Egypt has their own version of Wolseley. But in our country, in Canada, that's not what we are told, what he did and what he did to our people and what he allowed to happen to our people. That is never told because it's the victors that always wrote the story of history. It's the victims who never had a chance to tell their side. That's what my cabinet is saying. Let his name stay, but tell the truth now. Write the other platitudes, sort of the other markers that will explain the history of what he did and what happened when he was in our beautiful province we call Manitoba today. So let people judge two sides. A military expert, yet a massive failure in allowing such reign of terror to occur on a people and just let it happen. And yet he's supposed to be this military greatness. So again, these are examples of what we're undertaking as cabinet. We're looking at all factors of matters, and I think cabinet is right. I support my cabinet. That it's important that, for example, they wanted to bring John A. Macdonald's statue down. I said, why? He's the first prime minister of this country. Yes, his policies were horrendous. You know, he did things, he made things happen against our people, and we suffered the consequences. But if we just allow them to disappear in history, and that story not be shared, that they did these things and what has kept our situation as Indigenous people in a place of poverty, in a place of hardship, in a place of trying to find ourselves in this confederation we call Canada. So when you look at it from that context, let them stay. But tell the truth now. Let that be revealed. Let that be told so people really know and they can have a better glimpse in understanding the struggles of Indigenous people. So let me finish off on that historical thing, but I can give you a lot of history lessons on history and why it is, and you see the vigor inside of me when I'm ready to fight to defend you, defend our rights, and stand up for our identity, stand up for who we are. But let's not forget, that's on Seven Oaks, but Sunday you have another event happening. It's Indigenous Day in Canada, which we fought a long time to get recognition that we have a special time and place that we can bring our beautiful culture to the front and center of our beautiful country in Canada and our beautiful provinces in this beautiful country. But in Manitoba, it's a special time. We're bringing forth some of our greatest artists, some of our top musicians, and for fact, let me share some of the other stuff that people, you have great musicians, great fiddlers, great songwriters, great entertainers that can sing some beautiful music and sounds like the beautiful lyrics or the sounds of the birds singing in the trees. They can bring all that to you without doubt. And we're very proud of our musicians and our fiddlers. You got Patty, you got the young generation out there. And the young generation looked at Patty Kirstig as the goddess of fiddling. You know, I use that phrase. I hope she appreciates that version of it. But she can make that fiddle sing. There's 4 strings in that fiddle. And yet you watch her hand as she plays and that fiddle sings. She with such ease. And I talk to other fiddlers, whether it's Melissa St. Godard, whether it's Taylor Fleming, and you look on and on and on, all these future legends themselves. They'll tell you that is a role model, that they admire. Grandmaster champion, Canadian champion, a Métis citizen with such great talent. So again, she'll be on some of the video. Plus we have an event taking place for 8 straight hours. Imagine that, 8 hours at your home. You can watch it in your yards, sitting outside around the picnic table maybe with your family. Put on your laptop, put on even your phone. Today technology is so advanced. There's so many different ways you can get into the website. Of course, you need internet, but you can get on and watch a full event of music taking place, talent. But we're going to have some even bannock makers that are going to enter your home. Show you how to make lebang. Show you how to make that rising bannock fry, and you can see just rising inside the hot grease that's burning. Or the baked bannock that we traditionally know full well. My mom was a bannock champion at one time. And so, you look at all of those things. She loved making bannock, and she took such great pride. She had no education. My mother went to school. But you take her into a bannock, she will beat the best chefs in this country. She can make a bannock at ease. I didn't personally like her bannock, Mom, I'm sorry. Because my mom made it so soft. I like hard bannock. But I had to eat her bannock, but she was a champion. But you'll start looking at, from the context, we're going to show you how to make bannock for those young generations today that are so easy and adamant to pick up the phone and phone Pizza Hut to get a pizza at their house. So learn how to make bannock. You don't have to phone Pizza Hut anymore. So that'll be part of the show. You're going to see another important component that's there is the flower beading. And actually, we have Ginny Crouchy, one of the great talents, one of the best probably bead artists in our nation. And she's going to be teaching you and probably explaining to you about the beadwork. I don't know they videoed her, so I don't know what she's doing, but I do know this. She is one of the legends of beadwork. She actually authentically makes the beadwork as they were done in the 1800s by her people, the ones that Riel wore, Cuthbert Grant wore, all of these great leaders that would wear these types of beadwork. She authentically makes them the same way, whether it's Gabriel Jumon who wore it. But she didn't make them, of course. She wasn't there at that era. But the beadwork and the designs are essential, and I'll tell you why. And I'm going to go too a little bit long on this history, but it's important you grasp this. And I want you to, so you get all right pumped up and interested for June 21st. Because the beadwork at one time, your people were called the flower beaded people, because they didn't know what to call us in the early 1800s. But every part, and check it out, every part of our beadwork, you'll always have the prairie flowers. And each prairie flower will tell you a different story about the character of who you are. Some of the artists make it because there's different strengths of a flower, different stories of flower, different purposes of flower, but it'll always be the prairie flowers. So that's why it's so essential. You're going to see part of that. You're going to see how to make railroad cart without a screw, without a nail. They're going to show you how to make one. And so they'll be part of the 8-hour series, and on and on and on. Some of the best jiggers, best square dancers will be performing before you. So again, I could go on and on and on, but at 4 to 5, CTV will have it on a station on the new. You can leave your outside laptop for a second, run into the house between 4 and 5, get ready for your supper, but at the same time, you'll get to see some of the great talent. The legendary Ray St. Germain, 80 years old, still has the voice of a 50-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 30-year-old. Still can carry that tune so strong. You'll have him on there. You'll have Patty on there. We also have a special guest coming all the way from Nashville, a friend of the Metis Nation, a friend of myself, and his name is Johnny Reid. Many of you probably know and listen to his music, and he's a legend in Canada, based on his great accomplishments in music. He's going to send a special greetings to all of us Indigenous community, but also to the Métis people, and he's going to express again a beautiful song that I think will really connect with many of you, that in our culture we always help people. We always try to help those that can't help themselves. We try to lift up those that can't lift themselves. You look at history, that's what our culture is all about. That's what the song actually does. It can resonate with the veterans. It can resonate with the veterans going to battle on one knee, ready to pick up the person that can't get up. The song has such powerful nature in the message, so I encourage you to watch that. And again, thank you, Johnny Reid, for thinking about the Métis Nation, and also a special day for Father's Day. Let's not forget, I hope to get spoiled on Father's Day. I hope somebody's going to think about me on Father's Day, and I'm sure they will. I have a barbecue planned, I believe. But anyways, that's why I'm going to end off this particular series. I can go on and on about history. I can go on and on about many of the events are important, but we do know how important Indigenous Day is. So please participate at home. Get your family all together around the TV between 4 and 5. Get your family again around at home at the kitchen table or outside your house. And listen to the great talent, as some of the Métis have the greatest talent in this country, and I'm so proud of each and every one of those artisans. But I also want to talk about the issue of making sure that you read into the websites of the Federation. You'll know why your government's taking such strong political stands on certain issues, and you'll understand where it is. And we, of course, count upon your support to always back up your Métis government as we back up you. Always remember, the MMF will have your back. So, again, thank you very much. I'm heading out today after attending, of course, the Seven Oaks. I'm heading out to Duck Bay first for the night, and then Swan River. Something I'm doing for my brother, who was one of our strong leaders in the Métis Nation. Actually was the Vice President of Northwest for many a year, Minister of Finance, who helped build this government to where it is. He passed on to a heart attack several years ago, about 7 years ago. And his grandson is going to be baptized on Saturday. So I'm going to personally go to that on his behalf as my brother, and to stand in his place, because he's no longer here. And that's part of, again, the Métis family, always sticking up and helping each other. So, and actually, I'll close off with this, which is a family thing personally for me. His name is Treble, T-R-E-B-L-E. But you revert that name around, that's Albert. And Albert was my brother, the older brother. So they named their grandson Treble to always remember, to me, one of my great teachers, my older brother, Albert Chartrand. So again, thank you. That's my personal kudos to my family. And again, I always say to you, always watch the websites, watch what's happening in your government, and always remember the MMF will always have your back.